Brian, what are your thoughts after Bradford returned to winning ways against Batley this evening?
Yeah, it's a very good win. The team had plenty of reasons to respond to Mark Moxon leaving, and so that always brings an emotional drag. They love coming here because they're playing the Bulls. So whilst we were scruffy in parts, I'm delighted with the win. Yeah.
When we spoke pre-match pitch side, you mentioned about playing smart, being patient, knowing that you're going to have to work hard for points, building that pressure. Are you happy with that side of Bradford's display this evening?
I'm never happy. So I think particularly in the first half we didn't end sets as well as we should. I thought some of our lead-up work was very good. I'm not staying at their end of the field. In the end, it caused us problems and made sure that we had to do a lot more defence than we probably would have liked to in these conditions. But they put it right in the second half, in the main. But there has to be a learning curve as we progress through this second half of the season. We need to get better. Myself and Greeny set them a goal, for this week, and we achieved that goal. We need to be a bit tougher defensively, and I thought we were. At the time they bashed our line, other than a couple of examples, I thought we were good there, and I think that was the difference in previous performances when we play Batley and things like that, when they get tight and emotional and it ends up being a drop goal win one way or the other. It wasn't that, it was a methodical end to the game.
On the face of it, Brian, it did look like a very strong, dominant, controlled performance.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I thought there were some players showed their prowess and showed their nous when they had to. I thought the look was slow. I thought some decisions went against us, which were quite confusing, but we have to put up with that. We've done that every week so far, and to pull away to 32-6 at the end, yeah, it's a good scoreline against a determined Batley team. There'll be some teams towards the back end of the year.
How important was Guy Armitage's second try with the hooter imminent, to turn 12-6 into 18-6?
Yeah, very important, but we bombed a few opportunities early in the game, so I still think we were good value for the two scores. And I was confident that we'd kick on, we'd address some of the things at half time. I thought once we laid the platform, we got the benefits of some of the good carries we were getting in and finished as well, we looked a whole lot better team. It was a warm night for both teams, so it's tough in those conditions. So overall I'm delighted, but we feel, as we've done from the start of the season, there's still a lot of things we can do a lot better.
You've mentioned about targets and not really wanting to concede more than 2 tries, so you must be delighted, clearly not delighted that you've conceded 1 try, but that you've met them targets, especially in that second half where I think it was 4 possessions Batley had repeat sets inside Bradford's 20 and they couldn't break that defence down.
Yeah, that's always pleasing, and we've worked on that in defence, so coach and staff deserve a few pats on the back, Greeny and Keith, and we've been working hard on that kind of thing. We had that ethos, if that's the right word, at the start of the year, and we've drifted away from it a little bit, so we'll drag that back in, and hopefully we can make ourselves even more difficult to score against.
How pleased are you with the kicking game that resulted in a couple of tries, and I'm kind of guessing, Brian, when you talk about building that pressure, it forced Batley to concede 5 goal line dropouts?
When we kick the ball, we go alright, because we've got some talent right across the field in relation to catching or scrapping or getting behind people. We just get to a point where we're kicking the ball regularly, and because we like to play, a lot of people overplay and we make errors in silly times, but once we start stitching all of this together, I agree with you, we've got some good kickers and we've got some good catches.
You mentioned a few, or highlighted a few errors, momentum swings, Brian. Can you attribute that perhaps to, and obviously Jordan and Joe have played together, but obviously Tyra Knott's in for Mitch, so Tom Holmes is in for James Meadows, Luke Cooley at fullback. Can you understand how that might have affected that connectability and cohesion?
Not really. I think it's an element of lack of concentration, or it's a form of laziness, and I'm not calling any of those players lazy, but it's concentration. And irrespective of whichever halves we put in there or whichever fullback we put in there, their skill set should be better than that. So those are the things that are hurting us, and hurt us last week in a game where I thought we should have won, which we didn't. When you play the big games, you have to make sure you're on point with those kind of things. So I'd still be afford to be a little bit cranky.
Give us your thoughts on Guy Armitage and how pleased you are with his progressing, Brian. 5 tries in 2 games and a hat-trick tonight.
I thought both wingers were outstanding. I thought him and Jayden laid really good platforms for us. Both very strong. I'm particularly thrilled for Guy. You know, they needed finishing. All 3 of his tries needed finishing, and so he did a lot of other good work as well. So we're lucky to have him.
And Tom Holmes,
very quick. He looks quick. He looks sharp. He has the old brain explosion, which we discussed at the end of the game. You know, we're all of us in a situation, the coaching staff alike, is that we want to improve. We want to be better than we were tonight, but that's not taken away from the players. I thought it's a really, really good win against a tough and determined team who have been pilloried in certain areas, but they look like they're getting their best people back, so they'll be a handful towards the back end of the year.
how important was it to turn the negative from Sunday into a positive with a win this evening?
Yeah, good. I don't know what else you say about that. We certainly don't want to back up your defeats, do you? Otherwise we'd all have been depressed. And yeah, so it's important that we reinforce what we like, particularly at home. You know, we need to be strong here. But in the main, you look at our season, and it's going okay. It's going okay, but we can be better. I think what we need to do is get a few bodies back as well, and create that competition, and get close to putting some really good performances together.
We mentioned kicking in play, Brian, but yeah. Jordan Lilly I think ended up 6 from 6.
Yeah,
there was quite a few on the touchline.
Yeah, I thought he kicked really, really well. We're not crash out in that department, but he certainly was tonight. He had his kicking boots on for sure.
Obviously we spoke pretty much about Jacob Bateman being allowed to play for Batley.
He didn't do himself out any harm, did he? He went alright. I think they'll be pleased with him as well. And being exposed to this level of football and doing that, it can only do him the world of good. You know, if he grows up in the meantime and understands what he has to do to be a good pro and to be a good professional and to play his part at that level, he didn't look out of place at all. I was thrilled for him.
And he's clearly in the club's long-term plans.
Yeah.
Saying that, obviously with Jacob, it's slightly strange when he's playing against the Bulls, in the sense that, you know, a lone player playing against their own team, particularly the first game, obviously he wants to impress, and he did impress in parts, but is it a little bit odd when you're watching him, sort of thinking, yeah, I'm really pleased for him, but I'm also thinking, why aren't my guys stopping him now and then?
There has to be some adult decisions made, and I made one. It's simply that Jacob Bateman wasn't getting a run with us, and we think he's a good player. We want him to play at the highest level of football possible, so it would have been churlish on our part not to let him pay for battling against us. And I understand the risk element because he's our player, etc., but he'll grow from playing with Batley. He might not grow going elsewhere, and so that's why that decision was made. And in reality, he's probably our 3rd or 4th or 5th choice back roller. So we're saying that there are 4 people better than him. And so that's why we do what we do. It's nothing to do with Jacob Bateman, it's nothing to do with Brian Noble, it's to do with the fact that we want him to progress as quickly as we possibly can as our player. And he'll do that by playing for Batley.
As you say, the fact that he didn't do himself any harm tonight presumably means all being well, he'll get a run of games, and when he does come back here, he'll,
and then he can knock on the coach's door, whoever he happens to be, and say, listen, man, I've gone really well at Batley, give me a run here. But the competition at this club at the moment is big.
Sat in here, it's like a greenhouse. I mean, so I think it was 25 degrees at kick-off. I mean, that's probably the first one this season, isn't it, when it's been boom. I mean,
it's been hot,
yeah,
and muggy.
Did that have an impact? I mean, did the players,
No, I think it's the same for both teams, you know, for both players.
in terms of adjusting to it though? Because as you say, it's been nothing like
Well,
that.
We've had a good pre-season and we think we're a fit team, so keeping the ball in play and things like that in these kind of conditions. It was important we didn't have a stop-start game. You know, at times it was a stop-start game, unfortunately, but whether that be errors or referees' decisions or penalties or whatever it was. But I don't think the weather's to blame for that.
Obviously, going to the first of the Friday run of games, I mean, ignoring the Barrow one that was in March, but I mean, these are the sort of games, getting the atmosphere back, the DJ,
Yeah, I thought there was
the
a good
fireworks, there was a
atmosphere.
bit of a buzz, wasn't there?
I enjoyed the fireworks before they went off. Yeah, I thought the red, amber and black flares were excellent, and I just think it's another step for the club in relation to trying to get back into the Super League. You know, we've got to show that we can entertain people as well, and I think that the Friday night situation, if people come along, I don't know what the crowd was in relation to a Sunday fixture, so yeah, it's worthwhile. It seemed worthwhile.
Because there was obviously a bit of a mixed reaction when it was announced, wasn't it? But this run of games, I mean, you get a game like tonight, the atmosphere, the weather, you know, it will encourage you.
Well, the hot weather will encourage the beer sales for sure. I walked past a few tonight up to the coaches box, so yeah, why not? You know, we're fans deserve to be also not only entertained on the field, but have some facilities away from the game and on the sidelines and things like that. You look at, I used it as an interview before the game. You look at Hull KR 5 years ago, and they weren't providing anything, were they? And because somebody's taken some time out and said, well, it can look like this and it can look like that, and the team improves, etc., etc. All of a sudden, it's the place to be on a Friday night.
It can all work together, can't it?
Yeah, of course it can. Yeah.
And obviously, Kieran Gill not in the
No.
17 today. I mean, was he? Were you sort of tempted?
Well, he
Were you
wasn't
thinking-
fit. He wasn't fit early enough, so he came through the last training session that we did, and that's not our protocol. So he needs a week under his belt, but he's available for selection next week, as will Luke Cooley.
You tentatively sort of say you've got a few options.
Yeah,
it's been sort of in and out. And
It's not been on numerous occasions this year. We've been mixing and matching, so it'd be nice to get everybody back, because it does create a bit of a buzz and an energy in and amongst the players as to who's played and who's not playing and what we've got to do to stay in the team.
And in terms of the other guys you've got out, have you got anyone else close to getting back?
We're hopeful on Nathan Mason as well. We'll see how he trains this coming week, but we're hopeful that he'll be available for selection as well. A big body. George Defoe, no. I'm trying to think of all the others. Yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment. There's 3 there that probably come into the mix for next week, which is encouraging.
Yeah, and getting to the point where it's probably giving you some nice headaches as well.
Yeah, the best kind of headaches. You never enjoy leaving somebody out. But it's important we balance it as we have done. Everybody's played. I think Bailey Lou's fit as well. That's another one I haven't mentioned. He's fit again. So yeah, we've got to pick the right team.
Just a final one from me, Brian. Conrad Harrell, his initial 2-week loan, is expired after today.
Yeah.
What's the latest with that? Are you going to extend it, or would you like to extend it? Has there been any dialogue since?
Well, we'll speak to Conrad. We'll also have to speak to St Helens, because he's a St Helens player. And we'll make a decision in the coming week for sure.